In Baldur's Gate 3, one of the key ways to find success in both Tactician and Honor mode is to dominate the action economy. Now there are a couple ways you can do that. The first way is to supply your party with a bunch of actions through something like a potion of speed, fighters have an action surge, and there's also the spell haste. And then the other way is to deny the enemies or bosses their turns and their actions. And in this video, we're going to talk about controlling the battlefield and taking away the actions of your enemies. Welcome back to the channel, y'all. Today we're going to be going over two builds that I think really emphasize that control factor. Now, are these the only builds that do that? No. But they are going to be the ones that are going to be targeting that command spell, hold person, hold monster, and confusion. Those are the four that I like to focus on when it comes to dominating the battlefield and taking away actions from, most importantly, bosses. Now, the two setups that I'm going to mention here, they're not the only way you can get away with this sort of like playstyle. For example, we just finished an Honor mode playthrough and we used a Life Domain Cleric to make all of these control spells work, even though Life Domain Cleric doesn't have anything intrinsically that helps with those control spells. So just know I'm not going to mention everything here. I'm just going to highlight two setups that really emphasize, again, that control and that domination. But with that out of the way, if you like Baldur's Gate 3 content, more on the relaxed, chill side, then consider hitting that like and subscribe button, and let's get started. And we're also streaming a lot lately, which is a lot of fun. Come say hi. Now, the first setup I want to show you is a pure bard, and it is College of Lore. And there's a few reasons why we're going with College of Lore. The biggest reason is their reaction, cutting words. So we can target an enemy to give them a penalty on attack rolls, ability checks, and even though it doesn't mention it here, we can also put a penalty on their dice saving throws, so their saving throws. So they're going to be rolling that against something like command, hold person, hold monster, confusion, etc. All these control spells that we're kind of focusing on. And adding a 1d10, this is level 12, I think it's a 1d6 when you first get this, that is a huge deal. That is almost ensuring that these control spells are always going to go off. Now, the other reason why we're going with College of Lore is because they get magical secrets at level 6, meaning they can pick basically a wide variety of spells that they normally wouldn't have access to. And the spell that we're picking up is Command. Other than that, they pick up Hold Person, they pick up Hold Monster, and they get Confusion all on their own intrinsically. This makes Bard extremely powerful for that control setup. We will have an equipment section and kind of talk about where to get all this good gear. Basically, then you can make any spellcaster a control character. But again, for this video, we're focusing on classes and subclasses that really synergize with that playstyle. But with Bard here, all we have to do is focus on our charisma. Constitution and dexterity would be next in line, but very, very simple setup here. And because we're a bard, yeah, we make a great face of the party as well. And actually, I think both builds that we're going to talk about make good party leaders.
You and I are going to take this city by storm. I know it.
Now, for our second setup, we're going with a Sorcerer multi-class. And we went with the multi-class because Warlock here, more importantly, the Fiend, at level 1, you get to pick your subclass. And the Fiend has access to Command. This is a spell that sorcerers don't get intrinsically. And also, Warlocks here, they share the same spellcasting ability with Charisma. Now, for our Sorcerer, why pick a Sorcerer? Well, it's because of meta magic and the meta magic heightened. This will have put a disadvantage on targets with their saving throws, meaning they'll roll that dice twice and we take the lower number. Now, I went with Storm Sorcery mostly because when you're doing this control setup, this domination setup, you have the freedom to have another playstyle. Like, for example here, this Storm Sorcery setup, I'm focusing on both control spells and doing magical damage. For that first setup there with the Bard, they can do the control stuff, but also support their allies with either just their normal Bardic inspirations or healing. And hell, I guess Bards can also do damage as well. But we don't want to spread ourselves too thin. But I also do want to give a shout out to Wild Magic Sorcerer because of Bend Luck. Similar to how bards can put a penalty on a target's saving throws, we can do the same thing here with Bend Luck. I just like Storm Sorcery a little bit more because, again, we can focus on damage as well as control spells, and I think Meta Magic Heightened, well, I think it has us covered. And just like the Bard setup, for your ability points, you want to focus on Charisma. After that, either Constitution or Dexterity. Now we're going to go to a feat section, but thankfully the feats that we're choosing, well, they're the same for both setups here. Now for your feats, it's pretty simple. We're just going with ability improvement and just bumping up your charisma. This works both for the Bard and the Sorcerer setup because they both want to focus on charisma again. Other than that, with the Bard, you're going to have access to 3 feats. So if you're going to use the first 2 on ability improvement, bumping up your charisma, then the last feat I would choose is something like Alert. Having this initiative and blocking together your whole party it's amazing. It makes doing combat encounters much easier as far as managing which party member is doing what, and they can work together a lot easier. If you're fine with your initiative, then I think going with something like Dual Wielder, that way you can hold 2 staves, that works as well. But also just a quick note, yeah, that Sorcerer setup with that split or that small dip into Warlock, you're only going to have access to 2 feats, and I would probably just stick with ability improvement both those times. So just a quick recap on what you should be focusing on while you're leveling. You really just want to grab these abilities when you can. With Bard, kind of very straightforward because you get that the magical secrets at level 6, but prior to that, you're going to be picking up your Bard subclass, mainly probably focusing on Hold Person, and then Command when, again, it comes up with magical secrets at level 6. With the Sorcerer here, you kind of got to wait to pull the trigger on that multi-classing to grab Command, but prior to that, you will have access to Hold Person, so I would maybe do that multi-class dip probably around level 6 or 7, somewhere in there. And again, it's just 1 level dip, so not a huge deal as far as you won't have as many sorcery points at that given time if you were just sticking with Sorcerer. But this is the setup here. These are the important spells. Other than that, just doing a dip into a bunch of lightning magic for the Sorcerer, and for our Bard here, focusing on some of the healing choices we have, especially Healing Word and then Mass Healing Word. And then some I would say like support abilities like Enhance Ability and then Calm Emotion. Calm Emotion is amazing, but we can also still do damage with like Thunder Wave, and I picked Fireball because Fireball's great. But okay, those are kind of the things you need to focus on as far as when you're making these characters. Let's talk about equipment, because like I said at the beginning of the video, if you just give any spellcaster who has any of these abilities these pieces of equipment, they're going to work just fine as a control character as well. And alright, let's talk about equipment, because there's one stat you need to keep an eye out for. So if we look at Melf's first staff here, that +1 bonus to the spell save DC. This makes that saving throw harder for your targets. That is the one stat you want to be looking out for if you want to make a control character. Now we're going to go in order of where to find these key pieces of equipment, and the ones that I have listed right here, you get them in Act 1 and you get them in Act 2. And really just these 3 alone, because you'll have, or actually these 4 alone, because you'll have your staff, you have a helmet, you have a chest piece, and then if you have the ability to use a shield, you'll have +4 to your spell save DC, which I think is more than enough to make your control character an absolute monster. But okay, where do you get these? We'll start with Melf's first staff. You get this in the Underdark at the vendor Blurg. Very early on, you can go down there and just buy that. This staff honestly carried me all the way to Act 3, and I could have kept it on if I really wanted to, and it would have been completely fine. So after you pick up Melf's first staff, you can actually go to the Grimforge, so still in Act 1, and there is a bridge that is really trapped, but at the end of it, there's a chest, and you'll find these robes in there. I actually forget about these robes all the time, but they're the Protecty Sparks Wall, and these give you, again, that +1 to the spell save DC. I really got to remember to pick these up more on my playthroughs. Now moving into Act 2, you can actually pick up the Fistbreaker Helm and the Robe of Exquisite Focus, both at Moonrise Tower. There are 2 vendors in there. You can find both of these, so just save up your gold, and then you'll have an additional +2 to your spell save DC. And then finally, at the end of Act 2, when you defeat Ketheric Thorm, you can pick up his shield, and again, this will give you another +1 bonus to your spell save DC. So by Act 2, you're gonna be pretty much lock and loaded and ready to go for the entirety of Act 3. But in Act 3, oh, the gear doesn't stop there. If anything, they open the frickin' faucet and they just shower you with this gear. And so we're in for a pretty good time. Now moving on to Act 3, you get both the Robe of the Weave and Marco Heshkire. right up here in Ramesses Tower after you, I guess, deal with the encounter here, however you see fit. But when you jump down onto the platform, there is this little section here where you need to be able to pass the check to see both of these levers. It's then another check to unlock both of these, but same spot, and they do the same thing. Marco Heshkire here, a particular note because it gives you a free, it has Arcane Battery here, which gives you a free spell slot to use. You can let it be like a level 6 spell slot. Anyways, that's really good. Marco Heshkire also lets you pick an element to be like synergized with. In this case, with our Sorcerer, we pick Lightning, but both of these items in the same location, so go and pick those up. Now, just north of the tower, you can head to the Devil's Fee, and if you unlock the vendor's special wares, you can get the Cloak of the Weave. This is all going to kind of synergize together considering it's the same name set. But we just then need to get the Hood of the Weave. And we get this from the Carrion Undead Lord, and he is all the way in this corner here. And what's nice about the Hood of the Weave is it's a +2 to your spell save DC. So just stacking those up. Now the last items I want to mention are both going into your glove slot here. You have the Gauntlets of the Tyrant. You get this from defeating Gortesh. Some people decide to side with Gortesh, so maybe you wouldn't get these, but you have the option of the Helldust gloves here, which you get at the House of Hope. So both of these gloves, again, going to do the same thing and help us out. Now there are other pieces of equipment that will give you that +1 or actually another +2 spell save DC. The Amulet of the Devout. This is at the shrine or the temple at the beginning of the lower city, but you got to do a little shenanigans out in the basement to unlock this, so not everybody's going to get that. And honestly, with the equipment that we've already mentioned and showed in this video, it's more than enough to make any spellcaster again a control character. And I guess last note, something like the birthright here that gives you a +2 to your charisma. This is also going to help out with our control spells, especially for our charisma based spellcasters. So if you take this helmet, not going to work for a wizard, but for a sorcerer, a bard, a warlock. Yeah, this helmet here is really good. Now for the gameplay section, we're actually just going to cause some trouble at the barracks here. And I do want to mention that Confusion, you're probably not going to see us using it because this is more so for Onsir, the dragon, the great worm under Wormrock. And that enemy, that boss there, is really, a lot of the control spells don't work on it because it's an undead dragon. So hold monster, not going to work. Hold person, nope. And then command, also not going to work. But Confusion actually works on that boss. So that's why I always like to take Confusion. But mainly your bread and butter is of course going to be command, hold person, hold monster. So just wanted to get that out of the way because Confusion is one that I love, but it's kind of got one use that I usually stick to. But alright, let's cause some trouble here. Now, our Sorcerer mix has all of the, the weave stuff, all the high level stuff. Very powerful. But you'll see with Shadow Art here, who is more of the bard side, we just have the Act 1 and Act 2 stuff. You'll see that they both control the enemies very well. I will open up with the Sorcerer variant. They do have an Elixir of Vigilance procced because we only got 2 feats and we bumped up Charisma twice with it. So this Elixir actually is pretty damn good with this build here. All right, let's go ahead and open up the fight here. Who do we want to open up on? We're just gonna use something like Eldritch Blast to get the party started. And I see this mage in the corner. We don't want them to be counterspelling us, so let's open up with that. We also have Luck of the Far Realms. Let's make sure we get rid of that. Okay, opener there. And then, ooh, okay, we got the first turns. Great. This is really good for us. I do want to take out that mage. So, I think we'll just go all out on them and use a potion of speed. Really maximize our turn economy, but also hurry this fight on along. Get this fight out of the way pretty quickly. We'll use Arcane Battery. And then, what if we use Chain Lightning? Are you going to counterspell this? Let's see. She tried. She thought about it. I think the guard there tried to counterspell it, but used a lower level counterspell than my chain lightning. Kind of feel bad about that, but I don't. Okay. Now we have Shadowheart here. Same thing though. We're going to use a potion of speed, and then we are going to shut down everybody in here. We're going to bump it up to level 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many of these do we get? cutting words. So one of them would have succeeded. Now we got all of them. So for one turn, they're all done. And now we're free to throw a fireball. And we'll just hit them. Pretty good chance at hitting all of them. That +1 spell save DC also affects things like fireball, lightning bolt, those spells. Again, they have to roll a dice check for, and if they succeed, then they will take only half damage. But with this setup here, they're probably not going to be succeeding very often, so they're going to be taking full damage. That was decent. Could have been a little bit better, but again, they're not going to get a turn. We're not concentrating on anything, so I think we're good to go. Skip our turns here. The steel watch, everybody. We're going to try to get some hold persons off next time. Oh, there's somebody behind us. Also with the shield, you get the reaction to knock them prone. It stops something like a fighter from using their extra attack on you. And now this should be everybody out in the field. Also shield, great reaction, great reaction. Let's go ahead. Let's walk up here. And then let's use hold monster. Actually, we can't on her. Let's use hold monster. Get him stuck. So 90%, you see if we bump it up with a heightened, it's a 95%. So I don't think we need to use heightened on them. We're just going to use just the regular. So they're held. Great. Now let's do another chain lightning and really just start getting some damage out there. Oh yeah. Pretty good. Now this build and these setups here, they really benefit the other members in your team, because obviously if you take a turn away from the enemy, or you make them grovel, or you're holding them with hold person, your other characters are then going to have easy access to a guaranteed crit, which is going to be a lot of damage. That is all coming from your control characters here. Now this says here, tempestuous magic flight. This is a bug where it will not provoke this opportunity attack. We'll be able to fly away just like that. So another benefit of being a storm sorcerer is you get to fly away if somebody gets to you in melee. Now our bard here, we're gonna upcast hold person so we can hold 3 targets. 1, 2, and let's go. Oh, this one's almost dead actually. We'll go with her. 3. Actually, the archer. I forgot about this one. All 3 of them are held. And really, if we want to build our bard to be doing a little bit of melee damage, not a bad idea. We'll throw another fireball, and we have who should we hit? I want to get a kill. Let's kill her up here, or let's take her out. We don't need to use a high level. Let's use a level 3. So, boom. Good, good, good. I had the audio for them down a little bit. Let me fix that. There we go. That's better. I love when you make that fireball go whoom. Anywho, with our bard here, I like the fact that again we have a lot of healing spells. So again, we don't have to focus just on damage or the control. We have the healing option. Obviously, we're not built into that too much because we're kind of running the bare minimum. But let's go ahead and return. They're still held. They're still held. They'll come in for a little bit of hits, and maybe we'll see some of our other spells. Ooh, broke our concentration, you dirty, dirty dog. Mass cure wounds, we're not going to want them to do that. We will counter it. Another good reaction that we're going to have at our disposal to kind of control their magic. And then that's the other thing you need to worry about with hold person and hold monster is maintaining your concentrations. Now the sorcerer is really good at that because they have proficiency with their constitution saving throws, which is what hold monster is under. What should we do here? We can hit him with lightning bolt. Right down the line here. This should take out some of them. We'll upcast it. Actually, we have 2 turns. Or we have 2 actions. Let's make him grovel. 95% chance. We can get 4 of them. 1, 2, 3. Oh, you know what? This one has, okay, let's see what heightened does here. So we have a 65% chance. We go ahead and use heightened. 88% chance. That is a big bump. And this is 99. So these are all going to go through. This is why I like these builds specifically if you want to do that control side. Gotcha. Gotcha. Oh, I love it. Now we can just do a sweet lightning bolt. Good deal. And we can just keep flying up. And up and up. Nah, I guess we're not finding the pathing here. That's interesting. But we can find it over there. Huh, this whole flight thing's not really working out for us. We'll just fly back down here. And now with our Bard, who again, same deal as a control character, but they have free reign to kind of do whatever the hell they want. We'll use Glyph of Warding. We will make it lightning. A lot of lightning. A lot of lightning. Boom. There's 2 more gone. We'll do a fireball at this guy because we love fireball. Fireball not hitting for the most damage again. We're not built super for that. The whole point of this is to show off that they're not getting any actions because they're just stuck. And we can just keep them locked down. And guess what happens when you drink a potion of speed? You get lethargic if you don't repop it. Which we didn't. Typical content creator. Always letting the important parts slip by. Learn from my mistakes. Do as I say, not as I do. I think you guys learned that from... Actually, we maintained our concentration here. That's amazing. I think you guys learned that from the playthrough is, I know what to say, but then when it comes to executing, sometimes my brain is just spaghetti and I'm made of spare parts. Let's just end this fight here. We'll use a lightning bolt right between these two. There's 1 down. We can use, quickening to use something like Shocking Grasp. Kind of silly that we're using a quickening for a cantrip, but man, does it freaking work. We also have some procs from the Fiend, getting a little bit of temporary hit points. That's okay. Not the biggest deal. Again, the main thing that we wanted from that multi-class was the command spell. This guy here, still held. I guess we can show off the fact that we're going to get a crit every time. Obviously, we're not doing much damage. I just want to show that, yeah, that's a crit every time. Still maintaining this. This is hilarious. This poor Steel Watch. 100% chance we're going to hit. Critical hit, even for our cantrips, because some of them canned. Some of our cantrips can crit. And let's go see, what else do we want here? Could hit them with a... Okay, they're actually free. Let's back up a bit. Let's command them to halt. Oh, they want to explode. Well then, how about I tell you not to? Actually, I don't know if the command worked for that. Let's see. Back up a bit. No, you can't get out of there. Misty Step. Also pick up Misty Step for movement. Let's see what happens. Okay. Okay. You can't command the Steel Watch to not blow up, but, you know, that's okay. Everything worked out for us in the end. But alright, y'all, that is the build, that is the video. Let me know how you like to make a control character. Something like Paladin can work out pretty well too, because they get access to command, and for their vengeance, they get hold person. That's pretty good. I'm just showing you the 2 setups that I enjoy, and during our playthrough, like I said, I used a life domain cleric with the equipment that we were talking about, and somebody like Raphael, kind of a joke, considering he really didn't get any turns, and if he doesn't get any turns, then he's not going to wipe our party. But yes, if you've made this far, I appreciate the hell out of you. Come say hi to us on Twitch or on YouTube here when we're live streaming. Last time we checked in, I think we had like 0 followers, but now we're up to 50. So we're chugging along there. Anyways, guys, I will see you in the next one. Peace.